The video clip No Running focuses on what does it mean to teach students to be physically literate. It wants to move from a culture where there is little or no movement to bring back the culture of movement and educating students not just on how to be active, but what are the benefits of being active. The first 10 minutes of the video clip really focus on what was the old school mindset of PE. The old school mindset of PE was just getting students active, having them play games, maybe the same game over and over again. But really, if the kids are just playing dodgeball 7 days a week, are they really improving their physical activity? The new school mindset of physical education isn't about just playing games, or it's not just about sports or being the best at a game. What they're really trying to focus on is what it means to get everyone fit. And in turn, if we can get everyone fit, we can get everyone mentally fit. So the physical literacy movement, it moves from free play of just playing games to teaching the benefits of how play can help your health, not just mentally, but also physically. Free play is something that happens at recess. Free play shouldn't be something that happens during our physical education lessons. The new school mindset of physical education and physical literacy movement can actually allow students to be able to engage and connect physical activity. That way it can avoid the stigma of being bad at gym class or being bad at sports overall just because they're not good at PE. Students can be able to connect physical literacy and be able to use those ideas on how they can be better at their next period, such as math. If they work out really hard, maybe they'll be able to advance their cognition and be able to do better during their math class. A perfect example of this is the teacher in the video is teaching the students about cardiovascular health and what it means to be healthy, not just overall, but also your cardiovascular health. During this PE class, they talk about it, and then they get to practice how their heart rate changes during their physical activity and what it does to help their heart. The last thing this video really brings to heart is making sure that you are taking the time to focus on what are the students taking away from this lesson. What are they actually learning that's going to help them stay healthy for a lifetime and not just for today while they do their PE activity. Overall, this gives a great idea of where we should be in our physical education programs and where we were once upon a time.
Physical activity is so low these days. We have slowly and unbeknownst to us forgotten about movement because of things like technology. There are so many resources available to us that we don't have to move. We are watching things instead of doing things because we don't have the necessity to move. There's this idea of physical literacy, which is the motivation, confidence, physical competence, knowledge, and understanding to value and take responsibility for engagement in physical activities for life. Things like encouraging kids to participate in PE teaches students about inclusion. Movement is very important, and you don't need equipment for PE. You can be creative. You can do things like spelling out words with your bodies. You have to differentiate for PE just like you do for the content you teach in the classroom. Not all kids like sports, so you have to get creative with PE and adapt for all students. Whenever we exercise, we're turning on the front part of our brain that controls our executive functions. Executive functions involve the ability to organize, plan, and carry out a set of tasks in an efficient manner, and the ability to self-monitor and control our behaviors and other cognitive functions to perform goal-directed behavior. Exercise is important to have our attention system working at its best. It helps us to learn better because it improves our attention system. The earlier that kids move, the better, because our brains are developing all the time. So in order to develop to our fullest potential, we need to continue to move. It's important to have movement fundamentals from an early age because they will be better off later on. As people get older, the harder it is to learn new or different movements. Children are able to learn those movements easier and faster. We used to move in order to stay alive, like cavemen, and farmers had to move to work. So those who were more physically fit had a better chance at survival. The PE experience now is changing and students are changing, so we have to change. Movement is very natural to children. They're naturally active, so oftentimes teachers overlook the need to teach students ways to move more effectively and efficiently. We must instill in children the ability to be aware of how they move and all the potential of what their body can do.
The last 15 minutes of the No Running video focuses primarily on why it's important to increase physical literacy in schools and how to do that with students that have different interests. And so what they used as an example is for students who skateboard during their physical education time, instead of doing running or basketball, something that they wouldn't find interesting for themselves, instead that they would skateboard for PE. And they found that the students who were skateboarding really got more out of their PE time and wanted to know more about physical literacy than just regular physical education. Another key point from the video is that physical literacy needs to be on the same footing as literacy and numeracy in schools. That's because each child needs to have their own set of repertoire of moves that they can make. It's just as important as having literacy tools or numeracy tools. Physical literacy will create self-esteem. It'll develop their self-esteem. It'll boost confidence. It helps with mental health. It's just as important as having those literacy and mathematical tools. Lastly, and most importantly in this segment of the video, physical literacy is the gateway to solving child obesity. So in 2014, 42 million children under the age of 5 were obese. And they're expecting by 2025 that 70 million will be obese. And increasing physical literacy at home, at school, just in society will help curb that number and bring it way down. So that is another goal or another positive to physical literacy. The final takeaway from this video is that physical literacy is really just for the kids. It's to help boost their confidence, their self-esteem, and their health, mentally and physically. So at the end of the day, the push for physical literacy to become more prevalent at home, in school, and just within society is to help kids future, present.